All right, we ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to thank y'all for coming this morning. I'm going to talk about an incident that happened here in Davenport yesterday over on Greenshank Drive in the Highland Meadows neighborhood here in Davenport. Yesterday at about 1 p.m., our officers responded to an address on Greenshank Drive in regards to a reported stabbing. When they got there, they found a female that had sustained multiple stab wounds in the upper torso area of her body. She was subsequently transported to a local hospital, and she has undergone surgery and has recovered to the point where she is now in stable but critical condition. It's a wonder she's even alive, considering the wounds that she has. Before she was transported to the hospital, she was able to identify her attacker as an individual by the name of Douglas Price Kidd. That is Mr. Kidd. Douglas Price Kidd is actually a cousin of our victim and lives with the victim and her husband at the residence on Greenshank Drive. Now, we don't know what precipitated this attack. We haven't had an opportunity to speak with the victim. Mr. Kidd fled the scene prior to law enforcement arrival. So obviously we haven't had a chance to speak with him as well. So anything that we say with regards to what precipitated this would certainly just be speculation at this point. But we do hope to be able to speak with her soon and try to get more details as to what actually happened. We do have an arrest warrant in place for Mr. Kidd, charging him with attempted first-degree murder. The scene has been processed by the Polk County Sheriff's Office. We requested their assistance in processing the scene for us. We have recovered some evidence from the house, and we have recovered what we believe to be the weapon that was used in this attack. We believe the weapon to be a knife based on the wounds that she sustained. The wounds being to the back, the upper chest, the face, and to the arms. And the arms were more like defensive wounds. I will say that it's only a miracle that this lady is alive. She was able to eventually get from the house and go to a neighbor's house and seek refuge and seek assistance, which is where we found her at. Mr. Kidd certainly is not a stranger to law enforcement, at least in Maryland. He does have a criminal history in Maryland that consists of a battery charge, an assault charge, and a violation of protection order charge. In the late 90s and up until 2008. All three of those were dismissed by the prosecutors in that area. We don't have any details as to those particular charges, but if you're interested, we can try to find out something, or I'm sure that y'all can too. Mr. Kidd is known to drive a black Chrysler 300. I believe it's a 2012 model. With the Florida tag that you see there. We have feelers out trying to track where he might be going. At this point, we have no idea where he's at, and that's why we're asking for the public's help. The public can certainly call us here at the Davenport Police Department, or they can call Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a friend of ours, and anybody that calls Crime Stoppers with information on Mr. Kidd's whereabouts can remain anonymous and certainly receive a reward if that information leads to his arrest. Again, this is just something that kicked off yesterday afternoon. We haven't had a chance to speak with the victim or the suspect in this case, other than to prior to her being transported, her to identify Mr. Kidd as her attacker. We haven't been able to get any details, so anything else we say, would be pure speculation. So that's really all we have for you at this point, and I'll certainly answer any questions that you might have.
We saw that vehicle that you just showed on screen had a handicap tag. Is that his vehicle?
That is his vehicle. I'm being told that he is handicapped, but I'm not sure to what extent.
Where did he get the knife from?
We believe it came from the kitchen in the residence.
Do you know how long he'd been living with his cousin?
About a year.
Any opportunity just yet to interview, her husband, to know if they've been having any sort of issues?
We have spoken to the husband, and he says that there have not been any issues going on within the house, within the family, that would lead him to believe that Mr. Kidd would do something of this nature.
Were they both home alone when this happened?
Best we can tell at this point, yes. That they were the only two in the house at the time.
Did any neighbors describe hearing, any screams or anything, before police got the call?
No. Even talking to the neighbor where she sought refuge at, they didn't know anything that happened until she started banging on their door.
So no incidents that you responded to prior, like at the home?
No, ma'am. We have no calls for service prior to yesterday.
Any known places where he hangs out or that people should be on the lookout for?
We do know that he does like to spend time over at the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, over in that area. He has family in Georgia. He has family up north in Maryland as well. So it's a possibility that he may travel to those areas. At this point, we just don't know.
If people do spot him in public, should they be concerned? Is he considered dangerous?
I would definitely consider him dangerous. I mean, this was a very horrific attack, and at this point, we don't know what precipitated it, if anything. So, yes, I would definitely consider him dangerous. And if somebody does see him or see the vehicle, or they think they see him, is to contact their local law enforcement, call 911, and let law enforcement approach him and confirm who he actually is and take him into custody once they do locate him.
Another case when another family members stab another people. What do you think about it?
What's that?
This is the second case where another family member stabs another people. What do you think about this?
I mean, sometimes things happen in families behind closed doors that we just don't know what happens. We just don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And, in regards to this particular situation, again, we haven't talked to him, we haven't talked to her, so we don't know what precipitated this. It could be that they had an argument. We just don't know at this point. I can tell you that that her husband, the victim's husband, is retired military, and everything in the house is very neat and orderly. But again, did that cause him to attack her? We just don't know.
Do you know what caused him to go live with them?
No, I do not.
Were you able to find out, if he is handicapped, because I see he has a handicap tag, if, he has a certain, walk or something that would be an indicator of people that may see him in the public?
It's our impression that his handicap is not physical, so he would seem normal if somebody sees him out in public. That's our understanding.
Does he have a history of mental health issues?
Not that we know of at this point. And if he does, I couldn't comment on them anyway. Any other questions?
Just anything else you want to add just on how good it is that the victim was able to go out to that neighbor and, escape from the suspect?
Oh, sometimes in these situations, I like to look to see if there's a hero. And in this particular case, she is a hero. She fought to the point, not physically, but she fought to the point where she knew she had to get out of that environment. She had to get out of that situation. And she did that covered in blood, covered in injuries and stab wounds, to the point where she went next door, was able to get help. So she's a hero.
Where did the stabbing happen? Inside the house?
Inside the house. We don't, based on what we saw in the house, we think it happened in the dining room area. We think it happened in the dining room area.
And, did it lead into other areas of the house? Like, was he attacking her as she was on her way out, or?
It seems like it was pretty much confined to that area based on what we saw at the scene. That's where a majority of the blood was contained, was at that scene, in that area. It almost looks like that once he attacked her, she started putting herself in a defensive position, to the point then he eventually stopped and she was able to get out. That's what it appears at the scene. But again, that's just speculation at this
Is
point.
Florida Highway Patrol putting out any signs or something to look out for this farm?
I can't answer for what Florida Highway Patrol is doing. We have notified all local law enforcement in the area. We've notified the tolls. We've notified Highway Patrol. We've notified everybody that we possibly can to be on the lookout for this vehicle and for this individual.
And Steve, you said it was Highland Meadows,
Highland Meadows, yes.
Green Shank Drive?
Green Shank Drive.
Is that near anything that might be more visible that we would know in terms of area?
It's down off 10th Street. If that makes sense. There's really nothing in the area in terms of a landmark.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time and coming out.